the services of Clean and Sober going, I'd like to ask Miss Julia Lightfoot to come to the stage. Ms. Lightfoot was one of the people that Mitch and Carol had talked to about providing services for the homeless, getting people back up on their feet. Julia, this is the Community for Creative Nonviolence Lifetime Appreciation Award, presented to Julia Lightfoot, an honored member of the historical CCNV movement. Thank you from the homeless community.
Next person that's behind me is the other half, and probably the better half, because she was the one, when Mitch Snyder came to Duluth, Minnesota, and talked to about 1,000 students up there. And he, at the end of his talk, he invited everyone to come and serve at the shelter. And Julia was the one that wanted to come. I had a little business going, and I thought it was a good idea, but she just packed up a bunch of stuff and came down here. And so I came down after her, and together we put that program together. So I'd like you to give a hand for both of us, all right? Can we do that?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And you know, people are saying these really neat sayings up here, so I was sort of scraping my brain and see if I could find anything clever, and I came up with something by Oscar Wilde, who was a great playwright the last century, and I think it's appropriate for our program at least. And he said, "We're all in the gutter."
It's all right.
You say that again. We're all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars.
That's right. All right, yeah.
He opened a soup kitchen in 9th in New York, which for many here in the audience you might know was called Tally's Corner. It was a rundown neighborhood in Shaw, before the convention center and all, before that sort of stuff. And we were converting a little barber shop into what was going to be a soup kitchen. We were in there working one day. I was there working with some guys that were on the street, and a cab pulled up to the curb, and this little woman, kind of shriveled up woman, got out and came in, and she said, "Is this the soup kitchen?" And I said, "Well, it's going to be as soon as we plug up the appliances and get some stock and clean up the place." She looked at the men that I was working with and she said, "Aren't you hungry?" And they said, yeah. She said, "Well, sit down and we'll feed you." Now that was a pushy woman. So I followed orders, and I heated up some soup in a coffee pot, and we ran across the street and got some tea and bread, and we had a meal. At the end of the meal, she had served the meal and had it with us. She got up, she was ready to leave, and one of the guys there said, "Well, what's your name, sister?" And she said, "It's Mother Teresa. I'm from Calcutta." That's a true story.
All right, all right.
I know it's true because I was there taking orders from her. I think we have not only the staff, the contemporary staff of CCNV to thank here today for their commitment and their integrity, but thousands that have connected that chain going back 40 years. Those that aren't here, those that couldn't be here, and I think we owe all of them and all of you that are sitting here a real thanks and a wonderful celebration. I'm reminded of the words of the great Irish playwright George Bernard Shaw. He said, Some people see things the way that they are and say, why? We dream things that never were and say, why not? Carried on, carried on.
Building. I want to tell you a story about this building. You know, we've been evicted from our soup kitchen on G Street, and we were looking for a new place to go. And Justin Brown, who was a member of our community then, found this building. It was up for auction. The federal government was auctioning it off. And so Justin called and made an appointment for us to come and look at the building. So we went into the clothing room and we got on some grown-up clothes so that we would be believable as buyers. And nobody knew who Mitch was back then, so we could get away with it. We showed up here to look at this building, and it was a wreck. I mean, a wreck. There was no power on in the building. The basement had about an inch of water in it. There were light fixtures hanging from the ceiling, and we walked through and we walked out the door, and Mitch said, "It's perfect." And we all thought he'd lost his mind. Ed, talk about seeing things that can be. Mitch saw what this building could become.